I mean, yeesh. I hit the door any harder and it'll call back engine. Alright.
You!
Oh no. Oh. 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 Oh.
Woo! She's angry.
You're telling me?
You ruined my blue armor!
In my defense, you started it.
Ah!
Yeesh, lady. You need to calm down, maybe learn to smile more or something.
I'll destroy you!
Damn it, Frank! Look, you're understandably angry. I get that, but it was me who said the dumb commentary.
You share a face. That's good enough.
No, it isn't. We only share like 1/4 of a face. Yeah. Frank, you got me into this mess, damn it. Now get me out of it.
Lady robots are so oversensitive.
Frank!
Fine, here. I've calibrated some of my future tech weapons.
Oh, finally. All right. I really hate to do this to you, but I'm getting really tired of being shot and swung at. So, take this. How many armors do you have? Oh. Great. They're out of ammo.
You destroyed my armor!
Alright. I make you a deal. Since you're not swinging at me anymore, how about this? You don't swing at me ever again, and not only will I allow you to get some revenge, but I'm gonna give you somebody who can fix all your armors. Does that sound like a fair deal?
Yes.
Great. Wait right here. I'll be right back. Oh, you.
Hey, Ben! Buddy! Did you like my weapons modifications? Pretty effective,
Alright, that's it,
right?
Frank. I'm gonna teach you a little something about watching your commentary. Alright. Here's the deal, Ray. Just bring him back in one piece. But other than that, feel free to ding him up.
Yeah.
No! Ow! Ow!
Hey, what is up, my tricksters? It's your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh! Superhero. I'm very tired. And I'm very hot. I recorded that skit in 95-degree weather, and I'm in all black because, you know, presentation. And I ripped my shirt in the skit. I'm so annoyed by that. It's alright. It's alright. If that voice sounded familiar to you of Sky Striker Ace Ray, then make sure you check out my buddy Karissa, because she graciously lent her voice to the skit. So I think this is going to be something we're going to be doing in the future. So let me know who you want me to ask to be a part of one of my skits and be the voice of a character. Who knows? You never know who will say yes and be the voice of a Yu-Gi-Oh monster in the future. So Let me know who you want to see in the skits going in the forward in the future, so I know who to ask. And if you want to check out my buddy Karissa, I'm gonna have links to all of her stuff in the description. And yeah, so I'm looking really forward to the replay footage for this Thunder Dragon deck, because this deck actually is spicy and I can't wait to talk about it. So let's go check out that replay footage, and then we'll cut back here and we'll talk about the deck. Alright, there you have it, guys. So I decided to kind of let the sideboard kind of be an example, because I know there's going to be a few discrepancies that you guys might have saw in the replay footage. So I just figured I'd be smart and go ahead and just kind of use the sideboard for that. So I do have a fully formed, well, fully, quote-unquote, I have like, I don't know, 9 cards in the sideboard, but I figured I'd have some of them present, and then, like, you know, just let you guys know what some of your options are. So you'd be surprised, Shaddolls and Thunder Dragons go really well together. I was actually kind of shocked by how well this worked out, to be honest with you. Thunder Dragons brought that physical might that I feel like, you know, I like in my personal playstyle, while the Shaddolls took care of the negates, forced my opponent to play things ahead of schedule, And yeah, so let's get into it. Let's start. We'll start with the Thunder Dragons. Obviously, you gotta have the some of the big Thunder Dragons. You don't have to play this guy. If you have more like Chaos Dragons, you can go more that route. I kind of went with what I personally own, so that's why it looks a little funny. So we got Dragon Duo, one Thunder Dragon Roar, which was featured in the skit. If you watched that part, Thunder Dragon Roar. I wish I had more of it, but, I only have the one. Because it's kind of fun that, Allure of Darkness and all that. Dragonhawk, I have two, so... Which this card is really handy because this guy fixes your hands when you get the bricky ones. Thunder Dragon, because, you kind of need him, especially since we don't have Colossus, because Konami is dumber than a bag of hammers. Triple Thunder Dragon Dark, I only own the one. I wish I had a playset of this guy, but I only have the one. If I had him, I'm not sure that I would play the Dragon Matrix, to be brutally honest. But, they're here, and this card also does really good combos with the fusions, which we'll get to in a minute. Then we got our Shaddoll lineup. Beast, Double Dragon, because back row decks are kind of more featured right now. So Shaddoll Dragon is really good to just, Foolish Burial, pop something, it's makes it to where we don't necessarily have to main deck specifically back row hate like Twin Twisters or the Paleozoic Trap that we have in the side area here, which I'll talk about in a minute. Aerial, really handy. We're talking getting rid of stuff out of the graveyard before our opponent can really capitalize off of it, so that's super handy. Then we got Wendy. Special summon. Excuse me. Special summon from the deck. And it's, level 3, which is kind of relevant for us. Aloof Lupine. Now, the reason why we're only playing 2 of this card is because we are playing Gold Sark, and Aloof is just kind of Gold Sark on legs. So, for the most part. So, I didn't see the point in playing it at 3. I did see a point in playing it, though. Initially, I didn't have him in here, and I was playing the Collab Serpent and the Wyver Burster, but I decided he was a little more useful than those two. Every time I found that I kept drawing these two, I found them to be like bricks for me. So I decided to play him, and he kind of also doubles as our second normal summon. Our primary one that we want is Orpha Scorpio here. This is our primary normal summon guy. We're using this to get to our instant fusion. And also the cool thing is we're playing level 3s like Cicada King and Long Long here, so which they serve purposes, which I will get to later. Also the cool part is these make for easy fodder for Allures of Darkness if we haven't drawn the primary ones we want to banish, which are Dragon Dark and Dragon Roar. But Aloof Lupine and the Predaplants make good fodder, because sometimes those aren't primary moves you want to do. And of course you want to avoid doing this with your Shaddolls. Just, if you can avoid it, do so. Instant Fusion, it's at 1, which, if it's fine. If I think this deck will sim for players who can afford it. Excuse me. I just say I was tired. They're gonna get in the Dawn of Majesty. They're gonna be getting the one that only works for non-effect monsters. So you're gonna see Kaminari Attack, I think, taking a bigger role in the Thunder Dragon variant decks going forward, because they won't have to rely on instant fusion. They'll have a whole nother spell, which means they don't have to play things like this. Also, this can search Super Poly, Shaddoll Fusion, and Thunder Dragon Fusion. So it really had a lot of targets. But, instant was the main one I was thinking of. Card Destruction. He's pretty badass in this deck if you draw it. It triggers all the Shaddolls. And then it fills the graveyard with Thunder Dragons for your Thunder Dragon Fusion or your Chaos Thunder Dragons. And if you have the regular Thunder Dragon here, basically using this card, the thing that you ditch it, you get the 2 Thunder Dragons, you'll get to dig through the deck more than you would initially. Goldtark, like I said, it's just like Aloof Lupine, and this card serve the same purpose. The primary targets are obviously Thunder Dragon Dark or Thunder Dragon Roar. Foolish, this is for the Shaddolls mostly, or just to get whatever we're missing, light or dark, for our Chaos Monsters. This card is so awesome. If you have to ditch it for something like Card Destruction or Super Poly, it's not the end of the world, because basically in the graveyard in the next turn, this is going to give you a search. I really like that effect. Also, in its unique ability to recycle banished Thunder Dragons. Man, great A stuff there. Super Poly, this is basically our excuse me. Like I say, guys, I'm exhausted. Super Poly is our board wipe card. That's mostly what it's for. If we're up against light or dark monsters, we can really take advantage of it. Also, if we're playing against, like we also are main decking Shaddolls, which means potentially for the sideboards, if you wanted to, you could play the Shaddolls of the other attributes. We also do have a variety of targets, which we're about to get to. But yeah, Super Poly is primarily a board wipe, and if you time it right, it can really hurt some players who maybe don't primarily play light and darks, but maybe have a handful in their deck or sideboard, and you can kind of advantage that or disrupt plays of them getting to like bigger monsters. So I really like that, especially because we also are main decking the Shaddolls. So monsters who aren't always necessarily wouldn't normally like light monsters wouldn't normally be a Super Poly target, but because we're playing Shaddolls, light-based decks, can be targets for more than just Mud Dragon for this deck. So that's really good. And of course, as you guys know, Shaddoll Construct really does further our plays is playing this deck. So let's go. Let's start with the lightning or thunder based fusions. We got Thunder Dragon Titan. This guy has a lot of targets to make him go off and pop off multiple times, and this guy can be a board wipe by himself, as well as being able to prevent himself from dying, at least by card effects. I wish it was by battle too, but that would have been too strong. Our vanilla twin-headed Thunder Dragon. Unfortunately, we have to play this because Konami banned Colossus because they're cruel and mean and don't know what they're doing. I said what I said. Let's just leave it at 1. Come on. Anyway, and then we got Kaminari Attack. Kaminari Attack is really just to climb onto him. That's really his sole purpose. So there you go. Then we got our Shaddolls, which are double as Super Poly targets. All of them do. We got Construct, furthers our plays. App Cologne, which I keep wanting to call Al Capone, like that gangster. But App Cologne here just is a negate too, so I really like that. Also, not being able to destroy a battle is really useful. And then, of course, so it forces your opponent to use the destruction effects to get rid of this guy. It's kind of funny, like, how these two have the, exact opposite protection, so it's kind of fun to... When you're playing, a lot of opponents are like, they're either, they struggle a little bit, with that. Then we got Winda, limits special summoning. Can't be destroyed by artifacts, really handy. And our purely just Super Poly targets for this deck, we have Dragostapelia. Basically, we take a fusion and a dark monster, whether it's our fusion and their dark monster or vice versa. Like I said, if we're up against Invoke Shaddolls, it's kind of funny to make when they make their Dragoon, and then I just oh look, is that an Alistair? Super Poly. Great, now I got a negate. Deflexor Chimera, I'm going to be singing the praises of this card for a while. This card is a Super Poly target that I think you're going to want for the future because it's 2 Cyberse monsters, and a lot of players never see it coming. So it's really easy to get rid of, and there are Cyberse monsters like Extra Code Talker, for example, that, are just so powerful that, you know what I mean? They're, in the decks that play them, a lot of Cyberse monsters, like Adagnister, or the Extra Code stuff, Salamangreat, they never see this guy coming. Because I get to fuse any 2 Cyberse monsters, which is really useful. He's not as big as the Salamangreat Fusion, but he's a little more. He's got more utility in that he can go to more against more cyberspace decks. Then we got Mud Dragon. This one's for attribute bases with different types. So you know, like usually that meshes with us having like, oh, we have a type, and the you know like, oh, you have Drytron, cool. I have my Thunder Dragon Matrix. Flip Super Poly, make this. It's not a great move, but it's a move. Abyss Dweller kind of says, you know, screw you to graveyard effects. Long, really, this card can be a no to hand traps. It can be, if your opponent controls a monster. But the more important effect that we are using this for is its ability to be not targeted. That effect is mostly being able to, like, that kind of helps this deck fight Sky Strikers, for example. Then we got Cicada King. It's a negate, which it makes use of the 2 Predaplant monsters, because once we've gone after this guy, we're using it to make this guy, and then we get to throw this out there, and we have a negation. Is it the greatest negation? No, but most of the players, to be honest with you, they're focusing on this guy, because he's a bit more of a threat than this card is. So that does usually play into my advantage. And then these 2 cards are very debatable. You don't have to play them at all. In fact, they rarely come up for me. Zoroboros, this is just kind of a link for Big Beat Stick. We banish a lot, so big monster. And then we have Trisbania, which gets rid of back row. I really like this card because we get advantages off of banishing our stuff, as well as getting rid of their back row. So I really like this card. I think that this guy would probably stay should be a mainstay for this deck, but that's up to you. And then for the sideboards, like I said, my sideboard is just to show you cards that I was either siding or was playing beforehand before I decided on this particular build. That's what the Serpents, the Baby Chaos Dragons are. Side cards I would really consider for this deck is Denko Sekka, because it's on theme, Thunder Monster, and you have plenty of room to take cards out to play this card. Then another one I would think about is Electric Virus. This is another card that could be really useful for you if you're up against a machine or a dragon type deck, because this deck gets advantages off of ditching thunder type monsters from the graveyard or from the hand to the grave. So that's where this card really comes in handy, because like if you have Kaminari attack out, you could activate Electric Virus, steal one of their dudes, then you get to use the effect of Thunder Dragon Titan here, get rid of another Thunder monster that's in your hand or whatever, and this guy, and then look at that. Now you have you have a big monster, and you took a monster from them. So that seems like a really useful move in my opinion. Twin Twisters, Back Row Hate, Dynamiscus is kind of just whatever you need to hate. Mostly you might want to think about having this card in your sideboard, because there are going to be times your opponent is going to make you go first. This deck is very good at going second and capitalizing off of it, with the Shaddoll engine and the Super Polys and the Thunder Dragons being like, a lot of opponents don't really know what to negate. They're just kind of like, I'll just wait for you to play something that's a threat on the field to negate, which I totally understand that. That's not an unreasonable thought. It just comes in handy. It's just a handy trick to think about, okay? Because some opponents will figure out fairly quickly that, oh, you want to go second so that you can just wreck me. And that's where cards like Paleozoic Dynamiscus come in. Also, this card also will, because of the discard isn't cost, it's part of the effect, it can also make the Shaddoll monsters go off, as well as filling the graveyard for your Thunder Dragon plays. So lots of utility there. I think that's a good chunk of stuff to get you guys started. So if you want to build your own Shaddoll Thunder Dragon deck, this is, I actually, truth be told, as much as I wish I had 3 of this card, I don't think that it really, I haven't been hindered by it at any point at this point, like I said. The only thing I would do different if I had the cards, I think I would play double Roar and triple of the Dragon Dark, and that would be really the only difference I would make. But I don't really lose out on any power. I mean, this guy is basically like a mini Honest for the Thunder Dragon decks, and So that does come up every now and then. So anyway, guys, I think that's everything. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And remember to tell me who you guys want to see me work with in the next skit. You know, you never know who I might ask to come be a voice for a character here. You know. Anyway, guys, I'm Ben2000 yugioh. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And I am going to go catch a nap. I think I sound like a zombie. Night, guys.